Executive Editor of Make Magazine, Mike Senese.
Everybody. And I'll talk slowly at the start for those of you guys who are just starting to come in on the side. And for those of you guys who stayed past Massimo's talk, thank you very much. That's really cool. Massimo obviously is a big hero to everyone, but especially to myself. I even named my son Massimo. So it's an honor for me to get to come on stage after him, and I was expecting that the place would be empty because he was going to clear the room after he's done. Nothing else to see, but apparently you guys want to hear about drones. So while we wait for these guys to come in, I'd love to hear some good jokes. So who's got a good joke? Any good jokes? Anyone heard a good joke today, or yesterday, or this last week? You guys look like you're telling some funny jokes to each other. Any jokes? All right, then probably keep it to yourself. How many of you guys own quadcopters, autonomous aircraft? I see 3. How many of you guys are looking to get one? You think this is pretty cool, curious stuff? Okay, a few more hands. Good. Say that again? Toy helicopters. How about toy helicopters? We got 2 toy helicopter owners. Say that again?
I have a pile of drone parts I never have done.
I've got that same pile of drone parts. I've got good intentions. I've got big intentions, but I don't always get to actualize them and realize them and see them, I don't know if I would call it. Well, I don't want to say that loud because, yes, it is. Yeah. No, the Parrot people are doing some really cool stuff, and that's a great first iteration of something. But that new Bebop drone, have you seen this that Parrot's putting out? It's not the jumping one, which they've made the hand-sized palm. They call it like the crawling spider or something, and it has wheels on it. It'll go and you can fly it up and press it against the ceiling and then roll it along back and forth. But then they came out middle of the summer with a new drone platform called the Bebop drone, and it's sort of their response to the DJI Phantom, which is a obviously very successful, very flyable, easy to fly platform. So it's small, it's compact, and it's got a really high definition camera built into the body. And the interesting thing about that one is that the camera itself, rather than having a gimbal that is mechanical and will adjust electronically, this one has a digital gimbal. So imagine you've got a very high, a very large sensor that's getting a very wide range of field, and then it is through software. It's cropping in, and as the drone is flying around, it's digitally keeping that field of view stabilized inside through software. So it drastically reduces the weight of the drone, but it's not released yet. So I'm still waiting to get one in the office to play with. All right, it's a lot more crowded all of a sudden. This is great. Thanks, everybody, for coming to see the presentation. And I'm going to power through this one because we're trying to catch up on time crunches. But I've got some fun stuff for us to look at. So this is doing good with drones and UAVs. And I'm Mike Senese, executive editor of Make Magazine. Make Magazine, as Sabrina was saying to some of you guys who are here, we're the ones who we produce Maker Faire. And for those of you guys who are Maker Faire fans, I encourage you all to subscribe to Make Magazine. It's a real great publication. So one of the things Make Magazine has tracked for a long time is the concept of autonomous aircraft. This is through communities like the DIY drones groups, Chris Anderson, which turned into a business, 3D robotics, but a lot of the stuff that's become capable because of advancements in microcontrollers and sensors become smaller, more powerful, and able to do things like autonomous flight. So one of the things I want to do as we jump into this panel is let's talk about what is a drone. There's a lot of conversation there's been a lot of conversation for a long time about drones, and one of the things that I personally try to do through Make and through the making and maker community is to look at drones from our perspective. So I'm not talking about predator drones, and I'm not talking about things that are happening halfway across the world. I'm talking about aerial platforms. I'm talking about things that are community, user-friendly aerial platforms like quadcopters. I'm talking about things like fixed-wing aircraft that are largely autonomous, or at least have autonomous capabilities. Platforms that have the ability to have multiple functions on board, sensors and different types of cameras, able to carry payloads that are surprising with stability. This is one of the things that I look at to differentiate drones from model aircraft, from toy planes or RC helicopters, RC planes, which have been around for decades, and they're incredible. The drone UAV concept that we look at is something that is a really relatively new idea, because it's cheap, it's super easy to fly, it's super stable, and you can use this to do other things. It's now not a product, it's a tool. And with that, I want to jump into what I'm talking about here with doing good with drones, this talk. These platforms are now capable of being used for a variety of applications. And some of the most surprising and most exciting applications are the people who are using them for really beneficial, practical purposes. And one of the ones that really relatively recent, just over the summer, this is a situation that happened in Fitchburg, Wisconsin. There was a lost hiker. His name was Guillermo de Venecia. He went missing. He was out for a hike, and he was missing. He was missing for 3 days. They had search teams, they had helicopters, they had dogs, hundreds of volunteers searching for this 82-year-old lost hiker. They were sending the news out across all channels, across the radio, television, et cetera. And there was a couple that was vacationing in the area. A gentleman by the name of Tim Lesh, skier, snowboarder, extreme sports kind of guy. He decided, I'm going to help. I'm on vacation, and I've got my quadcopter in the trunk of my car. So maybe I can use this. I can go and I can help out. So he set up his rig, went to one of the areas where they thought maybe this is a zone where the De Venecia Guillermo had been, and the scary thing is that this is the kind of the tough part about some of this stuff is he assumed I'm going to go up and I'm going to try to find what might be a body. So he gets his quadcopter in the air and he starts crisscrossing over this field. It's a 200-acre field, and flying this rig around, and looks. And 20 minutes in, and this is after 3 days of searchers, dogs, helicopters, et cetera. 20 minutes in, he finds the guy. He finds this guy just sort of wandering around, and of course, they run over and they go and they get him, and the guy didn't even realize that he was lost. I mean, he was so disoriented at this point, but he was safe and he was great. And this is while he's doing this flying, one of the things that I think is really cool is that he's doing this. He's using his FPV rig, which for those of you guys who don't know is the first-person video. You've got a headset or a screen, and you're watching through the camera of the quadcopter or a plane, depending on what type of rig you're flying. But it's like you remember the movie Beastmaster, where he goes into the hawk and he can see the so it's like that. It's as cool as that. And so he saves this guy, and of course, what does he do? He puts it on Instagram. And there's Tim, there's his girlfriend, there's the girlfriend's dad, and then in the middle here with his Gatorade bottle, rehydrating, there's Guillermo de Venecia. He got 172 likes, which is pretty good, but I think he should have a lot more than that, because it's just a great story. But here's the crazy thing, because this was this summer. It's not the first time this has happened. Last year, May 2013, St. Denis, Saskatchewan. Royal Canadian Mounted Police, they found an accident victim. So where's St. Denis, Saskatchewan? Has anyone heard of this? Weird. How do you know that? St. Denis is It's right there. It's really far away from everything. It's considerably further north than the top of New Brunswick, which is a lot further north than the top of Maine, which is really far. If any of you guys have driven to the tip of Maine, it's really far from here. St. Denis, Saskatchewan is a population 30. And so there's an accident gets reported 20 minutes after midnight in the middle of May, and it was of a car. It was 5 miles outside of St. Denis, so even more remote area. Car rolled. The police, the emergency services, they're called, and of course, they send helicopters. They send the emergency services. The first group that gets there are the firefighters. They start searching around. They go 200 yards out. They search a radius of 200 yards, and they don't find the guy. There's a missing person, apparently, jumping ahead of this part, but there's the driver of this car is missing. Apparently, he'd wandered off. They could see that he had wandered somewhere. So they go and they start searching for the driver of this car. They don't see him. They send a helicopter up. Helicopter has searchlights, which, if any of you guys have ever seen the helicopter with the searchlight, once that helicopter shows up and there's a car chase or a burglary and the helicopter gets you, that's it. You're caught. You can never get it. You can never escape. So the helicopter can't find this guy. And so the authorities decide they're going to call one of their forensic officers, and he has a Dragonflyer X4. It's a $2,000 to $10,000 quadcopter, which is somewhat expensive for what we would be flying, but it's these are professional rigs that they can be outfitted with a number of different components. He's got his outfitted with a FLIR infrared camera. And this is what you would use to detect heat if you want to do predator vision viewing of maybe you'd use it for HVAC applications and so forth. So he gets his rig up in the air. Now this is probably about 3 in the morning. And here's the fun part. They've got video of it. So let's watch this video. There's no audio, and they're going to step through some of the stuff that I just explained. So again, helicopters come out. They don't find anything. They send the X4 up. They've got the rig there. Right before he sent up the rig, they received a phone call from the driver, and he said, "I'm somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know who I am. I have a jacket. I lost my jacket. I lost my shoes." So they found the signal. They located where the signal came from. They moved 2 miles south of where the accident happened. So this guy obviously has wandered quite a way. And they send this up, and they find the heat signature of the driver. And then you can see here in the middle of the screen, those are the 2 firefighters that then went, and they start walking over because they've pinpointed where he is. He is curled up at the base of a tree, laying in the snow. It's 3 in the morning. It's freezing temperatures. And they obviously, they were able to rescue him. They got him back. He had hypothermia. But had they had to wait till the morning, till sunrise, where they could actually get out and they could get that next 2 miles south, this guy wouldn't have made it. And that's one of the quotes that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police actually, they broadcast this to the media, which I think is really interesting as well, the difference of how the embracement of this technology and what a great thing this is. So those 2 examples right there, fascinating to me. There's a group in Texas called EquiSearch. They are also doing drone-powered, well, let me restate that. They started as a team, an independent team that goes and looks for missing persons using horses. That's the part of EquiSearch. But they recently, or since 2007, adopted drones as well. And now they're trying to regain the right to use drones because of FAA battles. And obviously, there's a lot of legislation that has to get determined drone-wise for commercial or just even practical usage. But I will say that last week, the September 10th, the FAA did grant them permission to use a drone for a missing persons search. So at least there's some positive movement in that sense. And so let's move from there. Wildlife habitats. This is another area that's really interesting, drone-wise. We've got a lot of areas, wildlife-wise, that are large, they're remote, they're hard to watch, hard to monitor. And on foot, if you go to rainforests, if you go to mountainous zones, it's next to impossible on foot or horseback or even on motorcycle to get to a lot of these areas. But one of the great things with an autonomous aircraft is that you can send through the air this vehicle that can observe and watch everything. So there's a number of organizations that are starting to pop up that are actually using these types of craft to observe and watch and monitor the wildlife areas in their region. So this photo here, this is a group in Belize. And Belize has got incredible reefs, incredible water area, but all of it's subject to, possibly, it's easily subjected to illegal fishing. And obviously you don't want to do a lot of illegal fishing or any type of illegal fishing. You want to damage your most precious resource. And in Belize, that's one of the most beautiful things. So this group called droneconservation.org, let me read this again. Is it drone conservation? Droneconservation.org. They're working with the Belize government to build up a network of aircraft that can autonomously fly their way through over the waterways and monitor and track any instances of illegal fishing. And they're also working in the orangutan habitat world to look for any disruptions within orangutan habitats. And there's a great video that I'll show you a snippet of. Let's see if there's audio with this. Oh. I don't think you guys can hear that, can you? So I'll narrate what's happening here. This is a National Geographic produced video. Oh, thanks. Turn this down a little bit. Yeah, I'll pause it so we can jump in. They didn't miss anything crucial. And you guys hear this now? Good. Great.
Basically, the researcher just has to throw the plane in the air and off it will go, flying about its mission.
So what they're doing is they're setting pathways.
Go have a beer and then.
Yeah, coffee. Yeah.
That's my favorite part of it. The interviewer's asking him, do you ever set this up in the air and then go and have a beer? Because this thing flies itself back and forth. It's taking photos of these areas where they know that there's orangutan habitats. And
then those photos can be stitched together to make a mosaic of the whole area.
But this looks quite good.
Yeah, that's good. Can you zoom in?
And you can see
It works. We can detect these nests, so these systems can help to find out where orangutans are. And that's something that's very useful for lots of conservation workers because they would like to see what the changes are in land use, for instance. The goal is to try to see how this technology can be used to help people with their conservation projects. One of the things we would like this technology to go to is to systems that have a longer range, so they can fly farther away, so we can explore certain areas that haven't been explored yet.
So this is great. This is a cheap, lightweight, quickly deployable platform that can get you into locations that are hard to get to, or expensive to get to, or dangerous to get to, and you can use this to track things that are precious and important, and do it freely and not freely, but to do it cheaply and easily. And the autonomous aspect of it's so important because by setting this up so you can create these waypoints so you can track and any type of pathway that you want, from crisscrosses to radiuses to you could draw any type of shape, and these drones will fly themselves through these pathworks. You're able to get to places that would be really hard to get to otherwise. One of the things that's also really interesting, at MakerCon a couple days ago, we had the kickoff event for Maker Faire, which is our sort of maker-to-maker convention. The CEO of Intel stood on this stage, and he showed us some new technology that they're launching, which is 3D scanning 3D scanning cameras that are minuscule, tiny, embed them in the bezel of your tablets. And he said, we're putting these into drones because what we can do with that is we can start creating vision for drones, which creates intelligence. So obstacle avoidance, you can track your way, navigate your way through obstacles, around trees, the things that people do still get nervous about. You know, we've all seen the video of the guy in Brooklyn who banged his little DJI Phantom quadcopter against a bunch of skyscrapers before it fell on the ground, and then he got arrested. But those developments, they're happening, and they're happening fast, and it's very exciting because it's going to help take this platform to new places. So disaster relief and mapping, this is another area. It's along the lines of what they're doing with the habitat wildlife mapping, but this is used looking more at specifically at disaster relief in the sense of you've got something like Fukushima, you've got something like the typhoon in the Philippines, which I'll show you something about in a moment. Places where, again, it's hard, it's expensive, it's very dangerous to go and observe and map and figure out what is happening here. Are there survivors that we need to be searching for? What's the best way in? What's the best way out? So this is actually, I just grabbed this. These are a number of videos online right now. I just opened up Google video search, and I just grabbed the headlines of the videos that are popping up because this is turning into a real thing here. Within the disaster mapping aspect, there's quite a bit. And one of the ones that I think is really surprisingly gorgeous, even though it's a little bit creepy, Chernobyl, 1986, world's worst meltdown nuclear plant disaster. And you can now get into the Chernobyl area, what do they call it here? The exclusion zone. And you can take tours, quick tours, and in and out. And this one photographer who is a scientist at the Weather Channel, but also an amateur pilot, he's gone there numerous times, and he's flown his quadcopter around to get aerial photos. These are perspectives that are not easy to get, if not impossible to get, of this incredible place, but a scary place. He's actually spent 31 days in the exclusion zone over various trips, which is to me a little bit freakish, but he loves it, and I think these photos are incredible. So Typhoon Haiyan, which was May of 2013, if I'm not mistaken, although I thought it was February, so I'm going to double check this date. One of the most devastating typhoons in history. It just ransacked half of the Philippines. But afterwards, this video was shot, and I think this is another really interesting and I don't want to say beautiful, because it's not, because it's terrifying. But the looking at this and thinking, this is something, you couldn't walk into this house because there's so much debris. It would be so dangerous to go in there, but someone's able to fly in there and to scan and to observe, and you're getting, through, if you're using an FPV setup, you're getting instantaneous feedback of what's happening inside that area. And that's powerful, and that's good, and that part I think is just incredible. As this goes on, you'll see he backs out here, and you'll get to see the extent. I mean, this was a really significant typhoon. It was really damaging. In fact, I'm going to just jump ahead in the video so you can see as there we go. Those are the shots where you just go like, holy cow. This whole place just got destroyed. But we've got technology, and we're starting to find new ways to use that can help us get in there and do good things. And I think that's really great. So I wanted to leave the discussion with the happy component, and that's the idea that also one of the good things that's happening is filmmaking. We've seen some great shots angles that no one's ever seen before, videos no one's seen before, perspectives no one's seen before. And people are using that in the filmmaking community as well, and to get footage that it's just incredible, because they're things that no one's ever thought that we could do. And this is one of my favorites of those. And I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to say thank you. Oh, wait, no. First I'm going to play it, then I'm going to say thank you. But this is one of my favorite videos of all time. How many of you guys have been to Santa Monica, California? Okay, so you've seen this. That's it, right there. How great is that? You could never do that. So, anyways, I'm Mike Senese, executive editor for Make Magazine. I appreciate you guys coming to watch the talk. I hope that you guys get excited about this stuff the same way that I do, and I also hope you guys really enjoy Maker Faire, because it's a great show. Thank you very much.